Welcome back to Agent Academy. This is Mission 7, Multimodal Prompts. My name's Scott Durow, and I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft. In this mission, we're going to explore how your agents can understand more than just plain text. They can read images and documents, which then opens the doors to automating tasks like resume screening, invoice processing, form analysis, and so much more. We'll define what multimodal prompts are and look how to generate text and structured JSON output, covering best practices and then walking through our mission. Traditionally, prompts are just text. Multimodal prompts also let you feed in images, screenshots, and PDFs such as invoices, resumes, or forms. The model converts documents into images behind the scenes, interpreting them, and then you can summarize and extract fields. When working with documents or images, there are a few important things to keep in mind. Make sure that the resolution is clear and readable, and if it's rotated, fix that first. Supported formats are PDF, JPEG, and PNG at the moment, but also keep an eye on limits. Currently, there is a maximum of 25 megabytes across all uploaded files, and documents must be under 50 pages. Output format matters too. Text responses are great when you want readable summaries or simple classifications. When designing JSON output, it's important to be precise. Define your field names clearly and keep them consistent throughout. Provide an example of the JSON you expect, especially if your structures include repeating elements or arrays. Always specify data types like dates or currencies and plan for missing fields. Do tell the model what to do if data isn't available. Always test your prompt with a variety of inputs so that you know it produces reliable results. So let's see how this works in our mission. We're going to build and use a multimodal prompt to process the previously uploaded PDFs. We start by going into Tools and then adding a new tool. This tool will be a multimodal prompt. We call it Summarize Resume. So to speed things up, we can use Copilot here to help us generate the initial prompt. We can ask it to extract details from a resume and return the extracted information in a structured JSON format. You can see Copilot suggesting a prompt structure, and in this case, we already have a pre-created prompt that follows a very similar pattern and actually was originally created with Copilot as well. The prompt clearly defines what information should be extracted by the resume and how the output should be structured. We also have to define the inputs. One input is the resume document itself. This can be a PDF or image. The other input is the cover letter instructions, which could come from an email or directly from the chat text, as we saw in the previous mission. For testing, we simply provide some placeholder text and a sample document. Next, we choose the model. Different models have different strengths. Some are better at reasoning, others at speed or multimodal processing. Here we start with GPT 4.1, which is fast and performs well with documents or image inputs. We test the prompt, and the output contains all the information we asked for. But right now, it's unstructured text. To ensure we can use the extracted data effectively, we set the output format to JSON. And we also provide an example JSON structure in the prompt. This is particularly important when working with arrays or repeated fields. So now we test again. The same information is returned, but now as a structured JSON document. We can inspect the schema that was generated automatically from the JSON output, and this schema is saved with the prompt and becomes available whenever the prompt is used so that we can get access to the data in a structured way. You can also see the response time at the bottom. Model choice affects speed, accuracy, and credit usage. So this is where you can fine-tune based on your needs. We test one more time using a different model like 4.1 mini to compare performance. Once we're happy, we save the prompt. At this point, we have the choice to add it directly to an agent. However, multimodal prompts currently need to be invoked through an agent flow when used inside an agent. So we have to go back to Tools and add a new agent flow. First, we define the inputs and outputs for the flow. The main input is the resume number. We also add a clear description so that the agent knows exactly what to populate this input with. The first step in the flow looks up the resume record in Dataverse using its number. We select the resumes table, apply a filter on the number, and return a single record. Next, we add an action, download a file or image. This retrieves the uploaded resume document from Dataverse, and we pass it in the row ID from the previous step and select the column that stores the PDF file. For simplicity, we skip complex error handling here, but it might be a good idea to send a response to the agent if the resume number is not valid. Now we add the key step. We run the Summarize Resume multimodal prompt that we created earlier. passing in the cover letter instructions from the resume record and the downloaded PDF content. The output is structured JSON and based on the schema that we defined earlier. Next, we check whether the candidate already exists in the extracted data. We add a list rows action against the candidates table. We filter by email address using the email extracted by the multimodal prompt. Because the prompt output is JSON, this allows us to directly select the email from the schema. Next, we add a conditional node. Using a length expression, we can branch on if no candidates are found, and in the true branch, we need to create a new candidate record. Here we add a Dataverse action, name it add new candidate, select the candidates table, and populate the name and email from the prompt output. In both cases, new or existing, we then update the resume record with the candidate lookup value. We add an update row action on the resumes table and then use the ID from the first step, set the candidate lookup, and store the JSON summary returned by the multimodal prompt. Finally, we define the outputs of the agent flow. We return candidate name, candidate email, candidate number, whether newly created or existing, and of course the structured JSON summary from the prompt. Each output includes a description so that the calling agent knows how to use it in the subsequent steps. We save the flow as a draft, run the flow checker to confirm there's no errors, and then go over to the Overview tab. Here we rename the flow to Summarize Resume and add a clear description. Next, we need to publish the flow and then head back to the hiring agent. Under Connected and Child Agents, we open the Application Intake agent and go to Tools. We add the Summarize Resume agent flow as a tool and configure it. The description tells the agent exactly what this tool does and what it returns. To ensure that this tool is only called when we explicitly reference it in the instructions, we can expand settings here and configure it. Next, we update the agent instructions. We add a step that says after the PDF is uploaded, the agent should pass the resume number to the Summarize Resume tool, referencing it by using the lookup here. And then we specify to use the return summary and candidate information to respond to the user. Now, let's test. We can start a new session and upload a sample PDF. The hiring agent determines that we need to call the application intake agent based on the instructions from previous missions. The application intake agent uploads the resume, then passes the resume number into the Summarize Resume flow. Inside the flow that we just created, the multimodal prompt processes the PDF and extracts structured data. Back in the agent response, we can then see the extracted JSON and a readable text summary for the user. If we open Power Apps and look up the resume by its resume number, we can see that a candidate has been associated with it as well, and the structured summary has been stored exactly as expected. This is multimodal prompting in action. Mission accomplished. You've now seen how to use a multimodal prompt from inside an agent flow to extract information from a PDF into JSON and then use it to call other tools. That's all for now, so keep experimenting, keep building, and as always, keep learning. See you in the next mission of Agent Academy.